And we are now live.
Awesome.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Storytime Network's very own Paradox Hour, in which we are finally getting to that great behemoth of a manga, One Piece, in which we are going to be, because of the sheer absolute size of this lad, we are going to be doing it arc by arc, and even then, it's probably going to take us a while. And starting off at the East Blue Saga.
Which is up
So,
to chapter 100. Just to
and
give you an
joining,
idea of how quickly we are we are moving.
and yeah, and that's a tenth of the series, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's at
Fortunately,
least,
unlike some future sagas, it's a lot less dense
yeah.
compared to some other.
So, just before we get into the meat of this, allow me to introduce our guests, or rather our hosts, Millington,
Hi, Resident Brit here.
Captain Jack,
Hello there.
Logstar,
Future knife victim.
Oh boy.
uh, and something seems to be crawling out of Usopp's nose, and I shudder to think the consequences of such a descent.
Mm,
Also,
yeah.
it has a knife.
Look out!
So we actually have a bit of an interesting dynamic in this because we've got me, who
Myself,
is
Billington, and Fuzzy are all more or less current on the manga.
yeah. However, I even in that there are gradients because I am an ultra nerd who not only uh, read the manga, I also read all of the supplementary materials, like the uber nerd that I am.
Ooh, fun.
So, like, I know secrets.
Meanwhile,
Uh,
Lark's going in half blind, and
Mm.
this is his first time reading it.
yeah. So, and the thing is, Logstar may have a bit of a dissenting opinion, so that's going to be good for discussion. So, shall we begin with Mill or Jack giving us a brief overview of the first arc we're going to be covering?
Hmm. Bill, you're the summary guy. I'm sure you can do this.
Oh, I wish you would have told me before we started the stream so I could prepare for this. Uh
Yeah, just wing it.
Blame Fuzzy.
so we're starting with the Romance Dawn arc, I assume?
Correct.
Uh okay then.
That would
Uh,
be the first 7 chapters, I believe.
Let me try to
First 7
summarize.
chapters.
well, it's so it's Romance Dawn, Kobe, and Zoro basically. That's what we're
Yeah.
covering first. Okay, so we meet little kid Luffy, who is rambunctious and wants to join a pirate crew led by red-haired Shanks. Uh, he is denied this opportunity and so decides to eat some random fruit that he found in a chest, which turns him into a rubber boy. Uh, it
Yeah, so like,
turned out to be a devil fruit that
yeah,
gives you
can I
powers,
just
but stops you
may I
from.
just interject here?
Go ahead.
So like, he's made of rubber. How did that happen? Well, I
Yo ho
mean,
ho! Might have gum gum.
thank you, Jack. Why, on that subject, I did imagine for an hour before this podcast the Four Kids pirate rap done as a dramatic reading by Christopher Walken.
I would have gone
Oh
with
my god,
William
that sounds
Shatner.
hilarious.
See, same energy, right?
Same energy, yeah.
Yeah.
It's made of rubber. How did that happen?
We're getting off track here. Let Mill
Yes,
finish his
okay,
summary.
sorry, but I had to get that out of my head and put it into your heads, so it will never leave.
Anyway, the thing
Yeah.
he ate was a devil fruit, which is these mystical fruits that give you powers, different sorts of powers,
Unfortunately,
but also
you can't
mean
swim after you have one.
yeah, which sort of a bad thing for a seafaring person.
It's also a bad thing when the world is islands and
90%
one
water.
strip of land. Yes.
Yeah.
That said, you do get godlike powers in some
Mhm.
cases, so
It's really a lottery or a Russian roulette in some cases.
Yeah. Unfortunately, while this is happening, a group of bandits descends to Luffy's town where Shanks is staying. In Luffy's eyes, humiliates Shanks, and then comes back the next day when Shanks isn't there, and kidnaps Luffy after Luffy is mouthy. Shanks goes to rescue him, does so after Luffy is thrown into the water, but unfortunately loses an arm to the Sea King, though Shanks manages to scare it off with just a glare.
I wonder if that'll be important later.
Hush you.
As the redhead pirates are setting off to leave, Luffy declares that he will be the king of the pirates, and upon that declaration, Shanks gives Luffy his prized straw hat.
I wonder if that'll be important later.
Hush you.
10 years later, Luffy, now 17, sets off on his own, and meets the Sea King once more, but knocks it out with a single punch. Sometime later, he gets caught in a
anime.
Sometime later, he gets caught in a whirlpool, and manages to find himself, or gets rescued, accidentally, by another pirate ship, thinking that the barrel that Luffy hid in is full of rum. There he meets the cabin boy of the ship, Kobe, and basically rescues him from the abusive pirate crew led by Alvida, the most beautiful woman in the world? Question mark.
Sure. That's what we'll call her.
There's people who are into that sort of thing.
The two go
Fair
to
enough.
an island called Shelltown, where Kobe hopes to enlist as a marine. However, they realize there is a prisoner being held there called Roller. Jesus fucking Christ!
Roronoa Zoro.
Isn't it Zolo?
Fuck you.
I swear to God, do not get me started on this.
Bill, I will
swear
fucking
to
end
God.
you.
Okay, I'm just gonna put this out there, Mel. I was gonna play that game, and I think you may have just stolen that.
Sorry, but I had to because okay. Just to very quickly explain, when One Piece started, the official translations were worried about being copyrighted over the use of Zoro, so they said Zolo instead. And despite the
also,
fact
And
that they
people are
had,
still mad about it.
despite the fact that they had actually had no worries or nothing to worry about, they've had to keep doing it because by the time they realized that, it was like 400 chapters in, and they couldn't just change the name randomly.
Yeah, so Viz is kind of stuck in that situation
The
now.
worst part is that translation more or less single-handedly killed One Piece in the West for about...
No, it wasn't that translation. We'll get onto it, but it was not that
Isn't it 4
translation.
kids?
It was 4 Kids. No, it was Viz's translation, not that did Zolo, not 4 Kids.
Oh,
Well,
4
actually, no.
Kids
4 Kids
Zolo.
did also do it, but Viz is the more influential. Anyway, Kobe and Luffy sail to an island called Shelltown, where they meet Zoro, who is being held captive by the marine captain Axehand Morgan. After Luffy attempts to get Zoro to join his crew, Luffy crashes the base. Does he take Helmeppo hostage?
He does.
Takes Helmeppo's hostage, who is Morgan's son. Goes back down to Zoro with Zoro's swords, frees him. Zoro agrees to join his crew, and the two beat Axehand Morgan and sail off, with Kobe joining the marine base there.
Also, can we just talk about the fact that in the first chapter, one of the characters straight up shoots a dude in the head.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
like this was
There's
not.
a lot of violence
Yeah.
early on. Like,
It makes you wonder why 4Kids, the like leaders of censoring anime, decided to go for this one.
oh, they had no
Actually, there's
choice.
a story
It was
behind that.
it was actually bundled up with the two other series that they wanted.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
so
know.
they had no choice.
One of which was Ultimate Muscle, I believe.
Yeah.
And so, like, guys, it's fine. He just like shot him with a pop gun, right? It's just a cork that made him sleepy for a bit.
Let's get this out of the way. The 4Kids dub of One Piece ruined One Piece in the West. Like,
For a good
actually,
10,
it has not recovered properly
It
since.
still has not recovered. No.
Like,
it still has not. No.
in Japan,
It's
it
starting
is.
to, but it has not fully recovered.
Yeah, in Japan, it is literally a cultural sensation. In the West, it's sort of it's a really good manga series, but it's still just another manga series.
Which is unfortunate because One Piece is fantastic.
Oh, it is.
But yeah, talking about the first arc, because this is the arc that introduces Luffy, Zoro, and Kobe to the main story, as well as Shanks.
Now,
And
I have a proposed format. First thing we should do is probably ask Logstar how he felt about this because he's going in blind.
Oh yeah. So,
Oh.
what were your thoughts on this initial arc?
Please don't be afraid of like criticisms or if you dislike it. That's like dissenting opinions is a very important thing for healthy discussion.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna go with my one big complaint right now. Nothing I'm noticing is how. I mean, I've had a problem this whole time where it still is. I mean, let's be honest, it is still battle manga basically.
Yeah.
And it seems like all the like good. It's like there's so much like the characters and the settings. It's like, oh god, please don't just use this as the window dressing for the rest. It's like, oh, you've got this. You can run with this. Please don't go to another lengthy battle. Please, you had it. What did you do? That's my big. I'll admit that is my big complaint about this so far. Just where it's like, it's all right there, but it's still going battle manga. Oh, so sad.
And
They're
actually, this
complaining
is
about the world building?
no. Basically, the idea is that there's a lot of character moments and a lot of like emotional storytelling that could be happening, but it's going full battle manga.
Basically, it's that it's not really a. It's basically it's like there's all the world building is there, the rest is there, and it's like it's not popping off because it's like there needs to be another long battle or something, and it needs to keep going. It's like, oh god, it's like you had it before that, you had it until then.
I feel
Please.
like some of your complaints are going to be addressed a little bit down the line.
I am
In
of
the
the
next
same
saga, actually. In the next saga, I
Yeah,
feel.
Alabasta is really where it gets into the it like Alabasta
Alabasta is where all those elements really come together in a really good way. I'd say. But that's
So-
next saga, so we'll cover that in a month or so.
So so the whole window dressing of the battles thing is gonna fall out soon enough.
the battles
To an
will still be
extent.
there, but there will be a greater focus on the other aspects. Yes.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more character development down the line. You start seeing it with Arlong Park, which we will get to later on. But it really starts coming into its own in the next saga
Yeah,
with Drum Island and Alabasta.
yeah. I just lost
Drum
like 15.
Island is
I just lost like 15 seconds because the wire fell out of my headphones. But yeah, but yeah, I'm getting the whole. Okay, that sounds like a good sign either way though. If it
so basically you
it plays that more.
really enjoy the world and the characters. It's just that the fight scenes are a bit too frequent for your taste, right?
Well, yeah, the fight scene. It seems like instead of like the fight scenes of the window dressing for the rest, well, it's like the I mean the window the rest of the window dressing for the fight scenes instead of the reverse.
And
There's
I
an
do think,
entire arc with almost no fight scenes in it.
yeah, I do think it slowly reverses that as the series goes on.
Which,
Yeah, there are several arcs that are much more focused on like downtime and kind of transitioning and just character and world building. Like a Town at the end of this saga is also focused
Oh
much
yeah,
more on
there's like
that.
no actual fight scenes in there.
There's one fight scene, and that's with Smoker and Luffy at the end.
Yeah. So
I mean,
Yeah,
what I
that
would
sounds good.
what I would say is that the thing you do have to remember is that this is a long series, and this has always been planned as a long series, and so you have to sort of temper your expectations of the pacing, I guess, to match that.
I will say, it is hilarious that Oda originally planned this for 5 years.
Oh, that was never gonna happen. That was never gonna happen. Let's be brutally honest. He was
Planning
saying
on
that
ending with fucking Alabasta.
he was saying that because he wasn't entirely sure whether like how long he'd be allowed to go by Shonen Jump, because Shonen Jump is so axe happy.
But anyways, going back into the actual core of what what we're starting on.
hey kids, you think dual wielding is cool? Well, this guy has 3 swords now.
Yeah.
I love that. It's just
Zoro
like that.
has just such a delightfully absurd fighting style, and it helps that he's one of the first characters we're introduced to, so that it's like it just sets us up for the absurdity that is to come.
If he starts doing like some prehensile foot shit, I am out.
He does not do that.
Okay, no 5-sword technique. Okay,
Oh, no, there are characters like. Do you not remember the octopus guy from
yeah, but
Arlong
he's
Park?
he's an octopus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
No, the only people with more swords are the people with more arms. Like, there's another octopus with like 8 swords later on.
But yeah, that's because
But
he
it's
has.
okay because they're octopi.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But yeah, getting into this is like the introductory arcs actually lays a lot of groundwork for later parts of the series. Like
Mm-hmm.
Axan Morgan in particular just foreshadows the hell out of the corrupt Marines that show up later on in Arlong Park.
Well, no, it's the contrast between Axan Morgan and Kobe that really, basically shines a light on the entire.
On the two faces of the Marines.
Yes, yeah.
Basically, like, and we see that at the end of the saga too, with Nezumi
Smoker.
and Smoker
Yep.
as different Marines we are presented with at the end of the saga.
Yeah, there was one thing with the foreshadowing that got me though. At the end of chapter 7 with Kobe letting me in, it's like the whole they don't know they've made a mistake thing. It's kind of like, I think the lights were flashing a while back. Did you have to hang a neon?
Oh, how do you mean? Like Kobe?
The navigation.
What?
It was the end of 7, basically saying there was the entire text saying they didn't know they made a mistake. You know, like Kobe joining, blah blah blah, all of that.
Because they didn't have a navigator, and so they had no idea where the fuck they were going.
Well, there are a lot of foreshadowing things in there though. So it's like, ooh. So
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
like,
the thing with One
it's like-
Piece.
That's kind
Yeah.
of Oda's thing. That is very much Oda's thing.
He
I mean, it's
he
like-
lays breadcrumbs and groundwork all over the place.
No, but I mean, this wasn't a breadcrumb. This was like a neon sign. It's like the breadcrumbs were good. Don't add neon sign to the breadcrumbs.
That's fair.
Yeah.
As I said, it was good, but then that one line came and was like, oh come on, we saw this.
Again, I would say that's a sort of a sign of its age, because it's back when One Piece was starting, like Shonen Jump was very much, our audience is young boys, so
And they're idiots.
yeah.
And yet somehow Oda still got away with an amputation in the first chapter on screen.
Amputation and a headshot.
Yeah.
Lucky Roo straight up capped that guy.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Japan has different standards for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It
it's
really
like,
does.
yeah. I mean, everything's
I will
gonna
say-
at some
I will
point
say-
have 3 liters of 50 liters of blood under high pressure, a la Akira.
It's funny you should mention that with regard to One Piece because
Funny
Zoro
we're talking
has a
about
recurring
Zoro.
problem
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Like Zoro, so this is kind of a spoiler, but not really. Almost every fight Zoro has in like the first half of the series ends with him just completely bloody because he takes so much damage.
He
All
tends to bleed. I'm pretty sure Zoro has bled more than every character in Dragon Ball Z combined.
And
Yeah.
let me just put this guess out here, and we'll see if I'm right. It's going to be because he hasn't healed yet, and he is going to heal much later, and that's when
no,
shit goes
that's
down,
not the
right?
reason. That's not the.
Well,
He
no.
just well.
There are
the
some
thing
fights
is,
where
he does tend to get injured before a lot of his fights. Is the thing.
Mm.
Almost every fight involving Zoro pre-time in the first half of the series has him starting the fight with a handicap.
That's mostly because when Zoro joined Luffy, their cumulative brain cells did not go up.
Yeah.
no, when Zoro joined Luffy, their brains came together to form negative brain cells.
They're
Yeah,
very
Have
fortunate
literally less
that
than
Nami
zero brain
joined
cells
them
between
next.
them.
They're very fortunate that Nami joined them next.
Well, I mean,
Because
there's brain cells. There's also the fact that I'm sure there has to be an entire fan fiction category that's just like two characters, one of the One Piece characters and a psychiatrist.
You know, you're not wrong.
Mm.
Trauma seems to be
that would not be surprising.
trauma is a pretty big deal in the One Piece.
They could trade it in
universe.
currency and make it an actual economy off of trauma. To be honest, yeah.
Also, Logstar, just to address one of your concerns regarding the foreshadowing. So yes, there was a neon sign in Chapter 7, but did you know that in Chapter 1, there was actually a breadcrumb that won't be resolved until Chapter 400 and something?
Well, I don't know when breadcrumbs resolve. I mean, I see there
Well,
are a lot of.
I mean, like,
though.
There is
There's
foreshadowing for hundreds of chapters down the line, like multiple times in just this saga.
Oh yeah, some of them.
I feel
I mean, it's all really when he plans to pull the trigger, you know.
I feel
yeah,
like we should get to those foreshadowings when they are resolved. More
when
than
they're
anything.
resolved, yeah, that's probably better. But yeah, so Luffy's a
Not
lovable
much-
idiot.
I
Zoro
love
is
it.
also a lovable idiot.
Together they are the dumbass rangers.
Yep.
And Nami kind of tempers that when
Yeah,
she
so
joins
let's
in.
move- Let's move on to Orange Town because that is
Yes, Captain Buggy.
Ah,
oh god,
Buggy.
But yeah, Orange Town basically begins when Luffy tries to catch a bird for food, gets caught in its mouth because it's actually fucking huge, and Zoro goes chasing after him, loses him because a bunch of people he rescued a bunch of people who were drowning, and they tried to hijack his ship, and he beats the shit out of them. And Luffy drops down in Orange Town nearby, where he meets Nami, the lovely young lady in the bottom right of the corner of the picture that we have on screen. And Nami promptly cons him into helping her before taking him captive and presenting him to Buggy in order to get in on his good side and steal all of his treasure. Because she hates pirates and robs from them for a living.
I mean, to be fair, it's not really hard to con Luffy.
Yeah, as we have said, Luffy is a dumbass, and we love him.
We
for
love
it.
him anyway.
Yes. But yeah,
I don't know. Luffy's a special level of dumbass, though. Even by manga dumbass standards, Luffy is.
I mean, he is.
Like what? There's
Just put it-
something special wrong with you, and I don't know what it is.
He's not completely brain dead. He does have a good deal of he has a good deal of intuition, and he understands people very well, as shown by the end of Shelltown, when he basically provokes Kobe into beating him up so that the Marines can't connect that they're friends. And
That's actually one of the
so I would
earliest
say,
indicators.
to put it into D&D terms, he has very low ins, but he has a fairly high wisdom.
Yeah.
But his charisma is his highest mental stats by far.
Oh my god, is Luffy a bard?
Fuck, he might be.
He's
Well,
cer-
he
he's
wouldn't
certainly
be looking for one.
he's certainly multi-classed
That's
as a
true,
bard.
actually.
He multi-classes as a bard and a monk because, let's be real, he punches things way too much to not be a monk.
Yeah.
Does love that punching.
But anyways, we're getting off track. But yeah.
Oh, that's our theme.
Yeah. So Nami presents Luffy to Buggy. They lock him in a cage and party up before Buggy decides to show off his special balls, cannonballs, that is.
He does have a lot of those.
Yes, he does. And he asks Nami to kill Luffy with it. She says, "No, fuck that. I'm not going to murder someone," and turns on Buggy and tries to save Luffy. Zoro pops in just in time to help out, and then we find out that Buggy also ate a devil fruit. But unlike Luffy, his makes him immune to getting cuts because he ate the chop chop fruit, and he is a segmented man now. So yeah, he stabs Zoro, but they manage to flip the cannon on Buggy and Co. and escape.
Also, stabbing Zoro is kind of like... It's like trying
Not-
to...
It's not an
Right.
achievement at this point.
Yeah, it's like trying to drain a lake with a glass of water.
It's, like I said, not an achievement at this point. Like, yeah. Anyways,
We should note that, like, despite the fact that they're idiots, they do mean well. Like, Zoro and Luffy both do go out of their way to help people out whenever possible. So they mean well.
yeah. Speaking of which, the Luffy befriends a dog who's guarding a pet shop. And when one of Buggy's crew burns down the pet shop, he beats the shit out of that crewman and gives the dog the last remaining remains of the pet store. Before
Okay, so this is our first tragic backstory side character.
Yep.
So it's important to go over this.
Oh yes, Choo Choo the dog.
Yes. So the dog's owner died, but dog is loyal and lovable, and therefore forever stands in guard in front of the pet shop. And of course, Luffy finds this story touching because he's Luffy, and he's basically like almost. It's hard to put it, but almost in a religious sense, kind of beloved by. He's a very messianic figure as we go throughout this, as we get along the series. You know, friend to all living things sort of deal, and so he obviously sympathizes a great deal. He values loyalty a lot, like
Oh, yeah.
a lot. So
He gets really
the
pissed
idea-
whenever, like, throughout the East Blue Saga, most of the main villains treat their subordinates poorly, and Luffy always gets pissed whenever he sees it.
And as a result, this is basically the impetus for him to. There's a very high chance that had this event not with the dog not happened, he really wouldn't have cared either way what Buggy did.
It's possible. The thing
Then
with
he
Luffy is that he doesn't. He has a live and let live attitude, but he also makes friends easily, and he gets pissed if people hurt his friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically, long story short, Luffy went John Wick on their asses.
Oh yeah, with the help of Zoro and Nami, that is. And eventually, he sends Buggy flying, sans most of his body.
He also hits him in the.
Nami...
He hits him in the balls at one point.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Though I will say the method of preventing the reformation, I approve of that one. That worked. That's what you do with anything that can reform itself. Really, I think we've all
Oh yeah, no, you
no,
gotta
no.
keep
I
it from
think
reforming.
if nothing else, even when the fight scenes are not necessarily welcome, they do tend to be creative in a
Creative.
lot of cases. Yeah, it's like it's never well. I'm not saying it's never straightforward. I punch better than you, so I win. But there are often times when, because the powers are varied, and that's the important thing. There's a lot of very obscure, like very specific and weird power sets that require creative thinking to get over.
A lot more once you get to the Grand Line, but yeah.
So,
I mean, the thing about this arc is it's the first sort of
It's the first time we meet a Devil Fruit user besides Luffy, for one.
I would say it's sort of the first not big arc, but sort of major arc because Romance Dawn was obviously introductory, and uh, the Captain Morgan and Zoro one was what?
that was basically that put together was basically just the prologue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas
I mean, the whole East Blue Saga is the larger prologue.
yeah, it is, but Buggy is the first sort of how many chapters is it again?
It's like a dozen chapters for the whole arc. Let me double check.
13 chapters.
Oh, I was just one off. Oh, 14. 14 chapters, yeah.
So, and it's, the first one with a villain that,
Actually challenges Luffy.
yeah, is actually vaguely capable. Not to mention there is the connection with Luffy in that Buggy was on a crew with Shanks.
Which
I
is
wonder if
a
that'll
very
be
fun.
important later.
You don't need to keep saying that, Fuzzy.
Yeah,
I know
seriously.
I don't need to, but you keep reacting to it, so I'll keep saying
Please stop.
it.
You're spoiling poor Logstar.
Oh no, oh, maybe I can start throwing the torture in also. Because, I mean, I can take it back from...
I mean, yeah, Logstar and I could just keep calling Zoro Zolo.
Okay, you know what? I call for a ceasefire.
Fair enough. I accept your surrender.
Though I will have to say it at least once before this is over, so just be warned.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Okay, you get one.
Anyways,
Yeah,
what's also
Logstar.
fun in this arc is Zoro actually getting a solo fight for once, for the first time, and setting the trend for most of his fights that follow. What with him fighting Kabaji while he has a fucking stab wound, and then deciding I'm gonna make the stab wound into bigger stab wounds.
Again, this is kind of just like this is just Tuesday for Zoro.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not an arc without Zoro losing at least a few pints of blood.
And I'm assuming losing consciousness as well, right?
Yes.
Oh,
He
yeah.
does pass out fairly frequently, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Logstar, what do you think of the first, like, major villain, or major superpowered villain, Buggy? How are your thoughts on that?
I mean, there's fun in the way his devil fruit went, and yeah, flashback. Okay, approve of exactly why he has the ability. That worked well.
Mm.
The
Let's
whole wanted to steal it but accidentally swallowed it and surprise thing.
Yeah, also, that was a stop choking yourself moment in there, wasn't it? There was a stop choking yourself.
I'm pretty sure there was. Like,
Yeah.
it's Oda, I would not put it past him.
Yeah.
It seems like the kind of thing he'd do.
Yeah, I did have a lot of fun with those things. You know, I mean,
He's very good
stuff
at the comedy
was,
aspect,
fun there.
I
Yeah.
will say.
The comedy does work a lot in this.
I mean, the nut shot was just perfect.
Oh yeah, no, it was perfect. Just Luffy just casually walking over and kicking him in the nuts while he's trying to
Also, yeah,
use his upper
Luffy
body as
has
Nami.
no sort of conceptions of honorable duels.
Well, he's a
Oh,
pirate.
yeah.
Of course
Well,
Of
well,
course he
no,
doesn't.
he does have a conception of honorable duels in that it's a one-on-one fight,
No,
but
he
he
prefers.
fights dirty. He fights dirty
Oh
as
yes,
fuck.
he is absolutely street when it comes to.
He bites people. He nutshots people. He does not give a fuck.
I mean, come on, but just given the gum things, be just a fair game is and being like clean is already off the table. Just there, it is off the table. Doesn't matter what else.
That is a fair point. The gum fruit in particular kind of lends itself very, very well to.
Yeah, so just roll with it, you know.
Yeah, the gum fruit is a lot more versatile than you might think at first glance.
For those of you wondering in the audience, yes, every part of him stretches.
Oda even answered that in an
specifically, not only did Oda answer that question, he even gave a specific length.
Though he gave it in a unit of his own creation.
True, but like you can roughly guess based on you know.
Okay, listen. I know how super fans work. I am betting that people have gone through the manga and made like some sort of statistical estimate as to that length.
Yes, actually they have. So he gave the length as 75 gums, and he also gave the length that Buggy's parts can separate as 150 barabaras. So yes, his fruit is the bara fruit, and not the kind of bara that some people are necessarily thinking of, if you know what I'm saying.
In English, it's chop fruit.
Oh yeah,
chop fruit. Some of the Viz translations for some of the fruit names do annoy the fuck out of me, but we'll get to that later.
I think.
Anyways,
I think we should move on to the next arc. Though the last thing I want to say on this one is Luffy suplexes a lion.
Yes, that was great.
Yes, he does.
And also,
this is the first in a. I mean, no, the first was the Sea King, in which he just cold cocked the Sea King. Then he suplexed a lion, and this begins a tradition of just doing harm to the wildlife in flamboyant fashion.
Yep.
But yeah, at the end of the arc, Nami decides to quote unquote form an alliance with Luffy and Zoro, and they sail off to the next arc, which is Syrup Village.
And in Syrup Village, we meet Usopp, whose name has the Japanese word for lie in it. Now, based on that, I'd like you to take a guess as to which character is Usopp. Is it suited gentleman with a cigarette, or is it man with Pinocchio nose?
Considering you've also already mentioned that you're right next to Usopp, then I think that's an easy question.
Yeah, but some people might be tuning in later.
Fair enough.
I might have missed that. Yeah, so Usopp, his thing is Tall Tales. He's basically a Chuny.
Well, no, he's the boy who cried wolf.
He is that, but he's also a Chuny.
Yeah, kinda. He does tell a bunch of exaggerated lies and tall tales, partially for the entertainment of others, as we see in his relationship with Kaya.
Who is a young, sickly girl. Unfortunately, her butler, Kuro, is a former pirate who is looking to take her fortune.
I do have to say, I love the fact that there's actually golden pieces of shit on his decorated on his suit just to show that he's full of shit.
Yeah.
That's just a glorious touch by Oda. I just love the little details here and there.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh, just a note, because I'm in my little note file. Of course, I have my One Piece notes open right now of my reading.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna read this one thing. Luffy, you fucker. Yeah, let's get the ship off of the bedridden girl.
Also, Logstar, please. Luffy.
It's pronounced Luffy.
Let's... Also, yes, let's. So,
Kaya is bedridden and sickly, but she's also wealthy partially because her parents died and left her
let's be
a
real.
load of
Kaya
inheritance.
is Usopp's sugar mommy.
I mean, it's likely
Am I
that she
wrong?
wants to be. It's likely that she wants to be more than that, but that won't happen until probably the end of the series at best.
Yes, no. So Oda has made a stand, and he's more or less stood by it. Is, hey, I can't do romance well, so I'm just not gonna do romance. I
That
wish
said,
he
Usopp
does
and Kaya
romance well.
has
Is the
yeah.
thing.
Usopp and Kaya do have a very strong relationship that could easily be transitioned
No.
into a romance,
Absolutely,
believably.
the epilogue is gonna have them together when everyone's like,
It's just like it's a really strong relationship between the two, and yeah, no, it has all sorts of vibes of, oh yeah, I'm just waiting to go back to my girl back home and get married to her, except without all the Dutch flags.
We think.
yeah, I wouldn't put it past Oda for like Usopp to not make it to the end of the series.
I wouldn't make
I
it
would
past
hope
Oda
not.
to. Well, we can discuss that in our very last podcast of the series, which is guesses, basically.
Theory time. Oh yeah, theory time's gonna be fun.
So
But basically,
The idea that we might not see all of them the whole time. Okay, this is piquing my interest. The whole idea that we're not sure they're all gonna make it, unlike.
So it's likely that they're all going to make it, but Oda has already like
Let's
proven
not
that.
say any more, Fuzzy.
let's
Yes,
not say
okay.
anymore. So
Yeah.
the arc is basically Luffy and Co, including Usopp, defeat Kuro and his crew, saving Kaya, who then gives Luffy, Zoro, and Nami a ship, the Going Merry.
Yes, and oh, also they keep it under wraps that the pirates were going to raid the village, so that they don't get worried about their security, because Spirit Village is apparently one of those far out of the way places
Yeah.
that rarely gets targeted.
Just
Oh, sorry, that reminds me. There's one thing that I kind of had to roll my eyes at. This kind of fight. Operation Murder Miss Kaya. It's like you pick some great code names. Great code names. Like, hey, maybe I should go out and do. If I need some money, maybe I should do like Operation Ghost.
Logstar, you are glitching real hard on your audio.
Yeah, you're kind of cutting out.
But to address your problem, when you've made 1,000 like Kuro has, they eventually just start getting really straightforward with the names.
also his crew, if I remember correctly, is not the brightest, so it's probably better to use simple names.
Oh, I think we've lost Logstar.
Bye-bye.
Oh, okay. While waiting for him to reconnect, let's get into major spoiler territory first.
No, Fuzzy. There he is. But yeah, agreed. Besides Kuro and maybe Django, none of Kuro's crew is very smart.
I mean, I wouldn't really classify Django in that category.
Yeah, I was gonna
either.
say I wouldn't necessarily call Django
He's a couple
intelligent.
intelligence points above the rest of the crew. All right.
I would still say he's under 10.
Yeah,
He's a 9. The rest of the crew are like a 6 or 7.
Yeah, but I mean, he can hypnotize himself accidentally. That says a lot.
Again, he's at a 9 intelligence out of 20, and the rest of the crew are at a 6 or 7.
Oh, okay.
Kuro
out of 20,
is at.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Kuro is at about, I'd like to say, an 18, because
I
he's
would not
actually.
put him that far up.
You're right, probably a 16. He is the second smartest character introduced in this saga, according to Oda.
Yes, but the
After
fact
Shanks' first mates.
yeah, so Ben Beckman, then Kuro, then Nami. The problem is those rankings mean nothing except for maybe Ben Beckman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nami is also exceptionally intelligent, and she's probably smarter than Kuro at the current point of the story.
But we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
So at the end of the arc, Usopp ends up joining the Straw Hats, and it turns out that
His father, Yasop, is on Shanks' crew.
yeah,
And strangely enough, his nose is from his mother,
Yeah.
which I really did not see coming, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Oh, I do have to say, real quick, backpedaling a little bit, we do get a very early showcase of Nami's intelligence in her introduction, when she basically engineers the sinking of a pirate ship by just reading the weather patterns and setting things in motion so that the ship capsizes because of a squall.
yeah.
That is like, yeah, she's very good at improvisation.
She's a meteorological genius too.
yeah.
Yeah, and she's really good at basically taking advantage of existing conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Logstar, what were your thoughts on Syrup Village / the Kuro arc / the Usopp arc?
Let's see, Kuro. I mean, well, I mean, there was one thing. One thing was actually one thing with Usopp as a whole. I just noticed the numbers dropping. I'm assuming that's some foreshadowing. The numbers dropping along the way. Let's see which.
Oh, the fact that you mean like with his bragging?
Yeah, like I've noticed along the way with like the number he claims to have keeps getting closer to things that are plausible. So, yeah, sensing the character development there. I mean, that already starts showing up. Let's see. I mean, my only big issue with that one. This was one of where there was like a ton of the fight scene where there was good stuff happening, and then the fight scenes really did just keep going though.
Yeah.
So, what else? Oh, and let's see. Oh, I've got some weird things in this notes. Like guess Luffy's back after Nami most erotically smashes his head with heels that are wildly impractical for the occasion. Yeah, I've got some weird things in my notes. Yeah.
I mean, One Piece is a weird series, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Just wonder how these characters ever worn anything remotely practical.
Yeah, I was just staring at those heels for a while, like.
I mean,
Yeah,
literally,
I see what you're going for.
Yeah, the first mate of the crew is a guy who wields 3 swords, one of them in his mouth. They are not a practical bunch.
Oh yeah, I don't think anyone ever called any of them practical.
Also, what do you think about Usopp's skill set?
Well, I mean, the skill set so far, the skill set. There's a lot of pretty random stuff going in, but it does get the whole idea of he's going to play the trickery game pretty hard. I mean, I get that, you know, that's his role here. So
Yeah.
Yes.
So
He's a
that is
trickster
his thing.
sharpshooter for sure, yeah.
He's very much the long distance rogue
Mm-hmm.
in D&D or standard RPG terms.
But yeah, he gets a lot of fun sequences later on down the line.
A lot of his fights are the most fun. Yes.
Oh yeah. Any other thoughts on Syrup Village? It's probably I hesitate to call it the weakest arc of East Blue, but at the same time, like, there's not as much of the emotional punch of the arcs that followed, nor the interesting setup of the first 2 arcs.
Well, not until the end when Usopp's backstory comes into it.
Ah, yes.
yeah, I'm kind of going with the that was the least interesting one out of them so far. I mean, and actually, I'd say out of the whole set that I did, because I went up to 99, so
100 is the last chapter of East Blue.
Yeah.
yeah, because I saw from there 100 was it looked like 100 went into about another like 6 or 7 along the same line, so I wasn't quite sure. Okay, but yeah,
100
99.
is the last chapter of East Blue.
It's fine.
It's fine.
So,
Actually, no. Read it right now while we're talking.
That's
well,
not a
no,
bad
because
idea.
the next arc,
No, chapter 100 is actually really important to read
yeah.
with regard to discussing East Blue. So read it right now. But anyways, yeah, Syrup Village, I do like it, but I do feel like out of the 4 Straw Hat backstories we get in this saga, 5 actually, out of the 5 Straw Hat backstories we get in this saga, it's probably the weakest in terms of like motivation because him lying because of his sick and dying mother is emotional, but it's not given the amount of weight and focus it needs, unlike Sanji and Nami's backstories, or and it doesn't come at quite the right timing like Zoro's backstory does.
Mm.
There's also the fact that it makes it harder to sympathize with Yasop.
Yeah, Yasop does kind of come across as a bit of a deadbeat dad in this scenario.
Yeah, because like Yasop very much has the resources to ensure.
It would be nice
pretty-
if he came out and visited every even just every few years.
like Shanks alone has proven that like it's not outside of their ability to go from Grand Line to East to the Blues, or at least East Blue on occasion. So like, why would you not just like stop by Syrup Village? Like they were there 10 years ago, but apparently they didn't even like stop in.
So yeah, Yasop does come across as less sympathetic because of Usopp's backstory.
Since like there's a non-zero chance that his mother's illness was treatable, especially considering some of the magical powers that come in later down the line, and
Mm-hmm.
to not even go back for your wife's on her deathbed is just
Mm.
just a
Well, there's a good chance that he didn't even know she was sick and dying.
which is again that doesn't make him any less dickish.
No, it doesn't. But it will be interesting to see what happens when Usopp finally does meet his father.
I do feel like this is the sort of series, like I do trust that Oda might be willing to,
Dip into some angst there.
yeah, because like that's actually happened quite regularly, actually.
Yeah, funny enough, Zoro's backstory is probably the sparsest one we get in this saga, because we literally only get his relationship with Kuina. Really, we don't get.
We'll get to that. We're not there yet.
Well, we still aren't there. We know nothing about his backstory besides that.
No, I mean even the Kuina bit, we're not there yet.
Kuina bit was in the first arc.
No, I mean like we're not there yet in this podcast.
Huh?
We should have
Kuina
covered
bit
that.
was in Barati. We're currently on Syrup
No,
Village.
no, Kuina was first shown in the very first arc. I reread it just a couple days ago.
Huh. I must be misremembering, but like, okay,
No,
we'll talk
because
about
the
that more.
anime shuffled it around so that the Kuina bit was first shown between Syrup Village and Baratier.
Because like my first exposure to the East Blue, basically East Blue to Alabasta, my first exposure, not even East Blue to Alabasta. I would say most of my exposure to pre-time skip was the anime.
Mm.
The sub, obviously, not the god-awful 4Kids dub, but
Yeah, we'll get to Baratier, but real quick, we do need to touch on Zoro's backstory because it's oddly harshly realistic compared to basically every other backstory we get. It's just like Zoro has a friendship with Kuina, rivalry with Kuina that looks like it's starting to bloom into something more friendly, and then she dies falling down the stairs that same night, leading him to reaffirm their vow that one of them would become the world's greatest swordsman. And since she's gone, he has to do it.
Oh yeah, I mean that worked really well. It's just like it's not like this, huge like, oh, and this happened, and this happened. It's like okay, and then just sudden, sudden,
It's a
nothing else. It's like that. Sometimes that's really the best way to do it. You know, sometimes the
it works,
most
but it's
powerful way.
also
Yeah,
it's
yeah. 'Cause
also
I
a
mean,
very simple backstory.
yeah, but I mean, it's a simple backstory, but I do like the whole sudden thing sometimes instead of this big, heroic, whatever sort of
No,
backstory.
it
It's
works
just
a
sometimes,
lot.
yeah, sometimes it's just like sometimes that happens. Sometimes it's just like they're gone.
Sometimes people die.
It's an odd amount. It's an odd insertion of realism into One Piece, and yet it surprisingly works really well because of how poignant it is.
And I think an even more interesting about this is that the impetus is entirely contained in Zoro at that point, right? Like, which you don't see a lot is that, like, yes, I get that he's doing it for to honor his friend's memory, but in unlike in some stories where there's this whole revenge story or like there's this driving force or driving conflict, no, it's just entirely Zoro would have set out to do it anyway, but this just gave him additional drive. It's that it didn't it is not entirely responsible for who he is as a person, but it adds to who he is as a person, and that's not something you see very often.
Indeed, it really does help to flesh out Zoro quite a bit. And even though it is the second shortest backstory we get besides Usopp's, it still has a lot of weight to it. But moving on to the arc that hooked me into One Piece, Baratier.
Is that how it's pronounced?
I believe so.
I don't know. I've always called it Barati.
Yeah, I've also always called it that.
I've
And
called
I
it
don't know.
either, but considering all the French inspiration in Sanji's attack names, I feel like pronouncing it in a French way makes sense.
Yeah, but there's no accent.
Isn't there? Huh. Yeah, whatever. Still, good arc. Very good arc. And it is our introduction to Chef Boy Sanji in the upper right.
Sanji is
We'll
a bit
get
of a
to that.
polarizing character.
We'll get to that, but his introduction is
Oh
a very
God,
good.
that was a. Why did you say it that?
We'll get to that. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it for now. Regardless, Sanji's introduction is a very strong one because he's basically introduced kicking the shit out of a marine who wasted food, which is a very good introduction in my mind.
Hmm.
Yeah, so Sanji's big thing is that he is very not okay with people wasting food.
Yes.
Yeah, no, and it ties directly into his backstory, which gets unveiled later in the arc, which is basically that he starved for 3 months on a rock in the ocean after a shipwreck. So, the and he had to share that rock with Zeph, who he only knew as a pirate at the time. And Zeph sacrificed one of his legs so that Sanji could have the rest of the food to eat without starving to death, while Zeph was basically forced to cannibalize his own leg.
Yeah, my dude
You know,
he ate his
forget.
own leg. Especially like the part that makes it especially important is his name was Red Leg Zeph, as in he primarily relied on his legs to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he basically ended his whole pirate career to as a way to save Sanji's life.
Mm-hmm.
So Sanji basically feels indebted to him, and that is his core driving motivation for the arc.
He also very specifically doesn't let Sanji realize. He intentionally tries to play the bad guy because he gives Sanji a little sack of food, and he claims that the giant sack that is like 3 times bigger than his entire body is also full of food, which is his portion. And Sanji is at the end of his rope and loses the last of his food, and he grabs a knife and tries to kill Zeph so he can have the rest of the food, only to realize that there's no food in there. It's just gold and gems, which, valuable in any other situation, but you can't eat gold and gems.
Like literally any other situation, that'd be good to have a lot of. But yeah, no, it's kind of useless when you're stranded on a barren rock with nothing to eat.
It's not even an island, it is literally a rock.
Yeah, no, and the problem is they can't fish or go down either because they don't have the tools, and it's been shaped by the waves. So if you go down, you're stuck down there. So yeah, no. They eventually get rescued by a ship after about 80 days of starvation, which is a lot.
Yeah, that piece of leg lasted a long time.
Well, to be fair, you can go like a full 2.5 months without eating and still survive. It'll take you a long ass time to recover, but you'd still survive.
And also, it doesn't. Oda doesn't pull any punches. It's not like they're just pristine. They are visibly emaciated, and they look.
Oh yeah,
They
They look like they
that
could
at
keel
the
over
end
at
of
any moment.
Oh yeah.
they basically are there.
They're probably at the very ends of their rope when they finally get rescued. Starvation is not a fun time.
Hmm.
And as a result, Sanji views food with a great deal of sanctity. Like he is.
He has a
the
lot of
idea-
reverence for food.
He has a great deal of reverence for food, and he abhors the idea of people going hungry, even if they're like his worst enemies.
It also means he has a great deal of respect for Zeph, and follows his teaching to the letter, basically. As well as, initially refusing to leave the Barati.
Yeah. Oh, we should also talk about the actual meat and potatoes of this arc, which is Krieg.
Well, there's two bits. So there's Luffy's battle with Krieg, who is a pirate who I believe was in the Grand Line and fled back to East
They were in
Blue.
the Grand Line for a week before they got driven off by a certain character who we will talk about in a few minutes.
Well, he comes up first, so we should actually talk about him first.
Yes, Dracul Hawkeye. Who
The
is,
greatest swordsman in the world and one of the 7 warlords of the sea.
and he is our very first taste of what the Grand Line truly looks like, personified.
Well,
I feel like
This man has been Zoro's goal for his entire life, and Zoro
And then he
found
just-
it.
and it just shows up because Krieg interrupted his nap.
And he was bored, so he decided to chase him.
that's pretty much Mihawk in a nutshell.
He does not really give a shit too much, but
He
he
really
does a lot of
doesn't.
stuff just because he's bored.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zoro challenges him and gets his ass handed to him by Mihawk just wielding a tiny knife.
Which, again, is not something you'd expect in your standard shonen. In your standard shonen series, if you introduce this sort of character archetype, you'd think that Zoro would at least be able to put up a fight. But no, at no point is Zoro even close to...
Zoro doesn't even
accomplishing
touch
anything.
Mihawk. Mihawk doesn't even get close to getting touched a single time in that, what can be generously called a fight.
Yeah.
So Zoro eventually does earn Mihawk's respect, though, enough for Mihawk to pull out his actual sword. And
then make him bleed 50 liters of high-pressure blood.
oh yeah, no, Mihawk cuts him down real quick. But Zoro does, again, after 2 of his 3 swords are shattered, he turns around and tells Mihawk that a wound on the back is a swordsman's shame before Mihawk cuts him down and sends him into the sea. But Mihawk actually doesn't kill him. He holds back just enough so that Zoro lives. And this was the sequence that actually hooked me on One Piece, because, like, holy fucking shit.
Well, I don't think it's wrong to say it's sort of the first major sequence of One Piece. It's like, well, second, because the first I would say is the scene with Shanks. This is the second one because this is the first taste of sort of the power scaling of One Piece, or the power ceiling of One Piece.
Yeah, Mihawk is actually the closest we see to the power ceiling of One Piece for a long time.
Well, we see Shanks, but we don't realize that he is so close to the ceiling until much
Yeah,
later.
Mihawk is the first actual demonstration of like true power on the scale that isn't really seen in the East Blue Saga. Like no one introduced in the East Blue Saga who's actually seen in combat measures up anywhere close to Mihawk.
Hmm.
Is it made it clear that One Piece is going to have a sort of power cap, or is there still the chance that it's going to be power creep forever?
No, there's
No,
a
no, it's been
power
made very
ceiling.
clear. There are. We have seen multiple instances of a solid ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen basically. We'll get into it later, but there's several characters at the top of the pirate world who are ridiculously strong, and we have seen them in action. So we have a pretty solid idea of what the power ceiling is.
Mm.
And at no point is it like, oh, they're obsolete by the next arc. No, these characters are in game.
Mm.
Yeah.
Very firmly.
Yeah.
And Mihawk is towards the upper end of that
maybe
scale.
a bit of wiggle room for like sudden bursts of protagonist inspiration, but even then, it's not enough. It's not until like there is a very steady progression, and there are multiple points in the series where the protagonists get their asses handed to them.
Yeah.
Because they are
Yes.
not close enough to the power ceiling.
And this is the first time we see one of the main protagonists lose a fight, actually.
And I will say this, Logstar, to address your concerns. When they say Mihawk is the world's greatest swordsman, that is not actually hyperbole.
He is actually the
outright
best swordsman.
the ceiling for swordsmanship in One Piece.
Okay, thank God. So there will not be. Well, I'm not going to say the equivalent of a Super Saiyan, but you know what I mean, where it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, there's
suddenly
going to be
break
power-ups
the
and
scale.
transformations.
Actually, with One Piece, the power-ups, there are very few power-ups that happen in One Piece, and they're very spaced out, so...
But
You're not gonna
generally, it
get
is a steady
one for a
progression
while.
of training and scaling up slowly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be like scale breakers and eventually, and you know, like
No.
just like
Mihawk
Well,
is a
you get the
pretty
idea,
high
no skill
ceiling, and
breakers.
Mihawk's a really high ceiling, and we're introduced to him and his abilities very early on.
Yeah, basically, it's established that Mihawk is one of the top players in the world, and even if Zoro surpasses him, it's going to be at the end of the series, and it's not going to be any like he wipes the floor with Mihawk. No, it's going to be
It is going to be a
close fight.
tough fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mihawk just shows up for 3 chapters, upends the status quo, and then pieces out. Which is
That's kind of
very
his whole thing.
money of him. Yeah, it's very generous of him to just like style all over the place and then just peace out.
It should also be noted at this point that that Nami has double crossed the rest of the crew.
Oh, yeah,
and
no,
stole the Going Merry and the treasure.
Yeah, while Mihawk was busy carving up Krieg's ship, she just ghosted with the ship and the treasure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of a dick move, but you know, she has a backstory, is the thing.
Which we'll get
into
to.
later.
But yeah, so Nami's gone, and after Zoro is gravely wounded, he makes a vow to Luffy to never lose again. And then he, Usopp, and Zoro's bounty hunter friends, Johnny and Yosaku, take off after Nami while Luffy stays behind with Sanji and the chefs of the Baratie to deal with Krieg and his cronies.
Which they do so with in stupendous fashion.
Oh yeah, no, Sanji versus Gin especially is a very good fight,
Mm-hmm.
as is Luffy versus Krieg.
You also kick
Yes.
He kicked hard.
Gonna give
And
some,
he
Oh,
kicked.
I do want to talk about Geen real quick because Geen is such an interesting character.
Oh, what were you gonna say first of all, Lockstar?
I'm gonna give points to the fish head. That definitely had style to it. So
Oh yeah, the fish head on the restaurant is a nice touch.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, I have to approve of that one, and of
Yeah,
course the
that's
things
the thing about one.
like Sanji and the trying to kill your own ally is yes sort of thing. Yeah, that's chaotic. That's some chaotic throw 'em overboard energy.
I will
The
say,
Straw Hats are firmly chaotic neutral for the most part.
I will say, this series in general is really good for as far as style points go.
Oh yeah, like also some of the outfits that we see later on in the series are just fucking amazing. But we can talk about those when we get to them.
So style points aside, I do like the some of the. This is the beginning of some of the more morally gray, or rather, not so much morally gray as villains as people. That's also
Yeah.
kind of a thing, and this is Geen is really the beginning of that
Yeah.
Yeah,
because he does not seem like he's a bad guy inherently, but he's kind of caught between two life debts. Is the thing.
yeah, between Sanji and Krieg, and he is extremely loyal to Krieg for reasons that are kind of hard to comprehend at first, but at the same time, it makes sense because he's been serving under that man for years.
Hmm.
Whereas Sanji saved his life from starvation, and he
Yes.
also feels indebted to Sanji for that.
It's. I think
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, yeah, it was what was one line? It was basically about that's the only time I've like experienced kindness, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's tragic, but also
this world is a lot more horrific than we get than is shown in East
initially
Blue.
apparent. Yes.
Like we'll get to that later, but there's some shit going on in this world.
Hmm.
But yeah, Sanji eventually has to fight Geen, and when Geen actually gets the upper hand on Sanji, he refuses to kill him, which Krieg is pissed about. So he fires poison gas at everyone. His crew has gas masks, but Geen is forced to abandon his and instead sacrifices his chance at oxygen to give Sanji his gas mask.
Thankfully,
So, yeah,
Geen still survives.
His fate is actually kind of ambiguous at the end of the
Yeah,
arc.
it's made very unclear whether or not he actually survives at the end of the day.
Yeah, we still have not seen him.
Yeah, we still don't know 1,000 chapters in.
Yeah, so Geen's fate is very unclear, and we still don't know shit
Well,
about
no,
whether or not he lived or died.
Geen and the rest of Krieg's pirates just sailed away, didn't they?
Yeah,
They
but
sailed
Geen's also
away,
been
but we don't
fatally
know if
poisoned.
they lived or not later on.
Geen's also been fatally poisoned by Krieg's poison gas.
Eh.
I know. In light of a later arc, we can talk about that after the next saga about characters surviving improbable odds. But yeah, this arc is a very good one.
Yeah.
Like this is I think this is a lot of people's the arc a lot of people go to when they say talk about an arc that first hooked them into One Piece. It's either this or Arlong.
Yeah, it
this
was-
is
it
definitely
was-
one of those.
It was Arlong for me.
I think it was actually, oh, you know what? It was Mihawk versus Zoro fight for me. Do you know why I remember this? Because I was like a little babby, and One Piece was a Saturday morning cartoon on Cartoon Network. It was the horrible 4Kids dub, like but there was enough of the
Ugh.
emotion that came through that made me like, oh my god, this is glorious.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this was actually the first episode of One Piece I watched, and it
Yeah,
was also awful poor pizza.
young. I was fairly young at the time because this. For the record, One Piece is older than me and Mel.
Yeah, One Piece is 23 years old. It's going to be 24 this year.
It is older than me by a few months, and I don't know how much older it is than Mill, but I think it's a decent amount older than Mill.
Not that much older.
Well, than us, I mean. Not that much, but it's still like the fact that it even comes into question is.
Let me check.
Yeah, this arc was published in, I think, like 98 or 99.
Yeah, it's only... How many months is that? August. 3 months older than me.
Huh. Interesting.
It's about there for me as well.
But yeah, it started July 22nd, 1997.
Oh, there's also something we should mention before we move on to Arlong Park, and that was a cover story for Buggy.
We can talk about that before Logtown.
No, because it actually takes place during, I believe it takes place during Baratier, a little bit in Syrup Village, and into the beginning of Arlong Park before it ends.
Yeah, but it doesn't become relevant until Logtown, so we can just talk about it before Logtown.
Okay, I guess.
Fair enough.
But yeah, do you guys want to move on to Arlong Park, or
I think we're about ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just with the only note being that there is one consolation with Sanji being into anything that is woman shaped. Well, just about, and that is he's never getting any.
Oh yeah.
That is actually a fairly good consolation prize.
It is kind of hilarious. Actually, there is a meta observation that I've discovered, but it also goes into spoilers, so I won't talk about it here. I can talk about it with some of you guys afterwards. But yeah, moving on to Arlong Park, which is the arc where basically the series cemented itself as one of the shonen greats.
Yeah. And it's down to, I would say, one moment.
Nami's cry for help.
Well, that and the walk after it, yes.
Yeah, that entire scene is
That
still makes me cry every time I read it.
that's the scene that hooked me fully, I would say. Like I was vaguely interested in it based on what I knew about it before. I'd been borrowing volumes from a friend of mine, and I was enjoying myself. But it was at that point that I really went, okay, I'm hooked now. I need to see how this goes.
Yeah, that moment in Nami's backstory basically just like cemented the series as like, oh shit, this is gonna have some real emotion behind it.
Yeah.
This is gonna have some emotional stakes.
And I think Logstar, what are your thoughts on this bit?
Yeah, I did get the whole backstory. Which part of the backstory do you want me to talk about? I just need to go back through my notes for some of it. Just guess which part comes to mind for you guys.
Well, the whole Nami backstory is really good, but especially the.
Oh yeah, there was a lot to that really.
Especially the final stretch of it with Belmare's death.
Yeah. So, what would you say stood out to you?
Yeah, part of me got the whole I don't want to hide it. The other part was like, okay, the other part didn't understand that part at all. Maybe I just don't get the whole family thing that way, where it's like, you can lie for a minute, just but so.
Because Arlong would have found out anyways. But pragmatism aside, it was also the sentimentality of just Bellamere had already been in this big spat with her daughters about not being real family, and it hurt a lot. But at the same time, she she couldn't help but acknowledge them as her daughters, and they meant that much to her that she just could not let it go, and she could not lie about it.
I mean, oh yeah, man, that's like the most traumatic way to do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
Right?
she shot in the fucking head right in front of her daughters.
I mean, like, and also just setting it up with like, I'm not gonna lie about this one. Just go ahead and watch this. It's like, oh wow, oh yeah, oh.
Mm.
Yeah,
Like
it's
I do get your hesitation with it, but at the same time, like the overall emotionality of the scene does help bring it back a little bit. In my mind. Y'all are quiet right now.
yeah, so I think I understand what Logstar is trying to say.
I
But the
understand on an intellectual level, but on an emotional level, I do not fucking
yeah,
get
no,
it.
no, no, I understand. Like it's kind of the whole uh you could lie, but at the same time it's just this
I feel like in Bellamare's mind, that would basically be effectively disowning her children,
Mm.
and she did not want to do that, and it just felt wrong to her on a fundamental level to do that.
and I think I I'm not necessarily the most sentimental person. I'm sure I don't need to emphasize that at all because you all know me. I'm a cynical piece of garbage. But I do think that I can sympathize with what Belmare did. I wish it had gone a little bit differently, but I feel like no matter what, I'm sure Arlong would have found an excuse.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
Right? Like I
I,
get it. I get it.
the point is made that if they had tried smuggling Nami and Nojiko out on boat, Arlong probably would have found them pretty damn quick, and things would have gone much worse than they did.
Well, the other thing is they probably would have sent the two of them to the Marines, and Arlong had the Marines in that area in his pocket as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't know at what point he had managed to do that, but it is possible that he'd already done it.
Oh yeah, I mean that's one of the things that they had no idea about at the time.
Mm.
No, but in hindsight, it definitely works out in their favor that they didn't go that route. But yeah,
So, I will say,
I will also say that Nami's backstory is the first of many that made me cry in the series.
another thing I would like to point out, just real quick, is that while while it people may say that this is kind of a damsel in distress scenario, I do not think it reflects poorly on Nami at all that she wasn't necessarily able to.
Like the Fishland Pirates, yeah.
I that she wasn't able to do. I think the point of this is not that she is not able to do it, but that she is not able to do it alone, and that she doesn't have to do it alone. And she shouldn't
Exactly,
have to do
yeah.
it alone.
The entire
Exactly.
point of the sequence leading up to the walk to Arlong Park is that Nami is finally at a place emotionally and mentally where she can ask someone for help rather than forcing herself to do something on her own.
Yeah. The whole point of the arc up until that point is that Nami had been taking it on her own shoulders the entire time, and that's why that is why that sort of moment where Nami basically loses it and starts stabbing her own arm where the Arlong tattoo is, and then tearfully asks Luffy for help. That's what really that's what sinks it in for you as the viewer. This is how bad it's gotten for Nami, and then Luffy gives Nami the straw hat. which
just to show that.
Symbolically, this is literally his most important
yeah,
possession. So
It's basically a sign that, like she is entrusting her most important thing to him, he is entrusting his most important thing to her.
yeah,
I mean, you have to admit, probably did help it to get things to that point where it's like, really, if you look at everything before that point, this was like the only time there was any shot of anything panning out. So that definitely does it. Where it's like now it's like it's the time to really not take it on yourself anymore, because this is like the only actual shot so far.
Yeah, it also helps that this is basically Nami at her emotional low points.
yeah.
Like, the arc just gets worse and worse for her for a good chunk of it, and it bottoms out with her stabbing herself in the arm because she feels like she has no options at all.
Oh, I also don't
Then
get
Luffy shows up.
I also don't get why people seem to keep thinking anyone's going to keep their word at this point.
I mean, Arlong technically kept his word. He was just a total asshole about it.
Yeah, it seems like people have way too much faith in that. Like, it's like, oh, he's going to release. It's like, no, he's going to kill you in a few days. And then it's like, oh, as soon as I get that, it's like, as soon as I get that, I'm going to buy the village off him. It's like, I'm just going to get in the way of that. Oh, and by the way, I know you've tried to kill me a bunch of times too. It's like,
I mean, it's the only thing she had left. Like, she had to
She
believe.
was pinning her hopes on something.
Yeah, she had to believe that Arlong would keep his word, and that she would be able to, save the village. Because otherwise, what has she spent the last, however many years it was? What has she spent
8 years.
doing it? Yeah.
it's basically some cop fallacy at that point.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, it's like, I'm just looking at a lot of these, and it's like,
Also,
I'm wondering why anyone here trusts anyone else at any time at this point.
Well, in the defense of some of the
Zoro.
characters, there are characters that there are plenty of characters that keep their word, like pretty staunchly, like absolutely without question keep their word.
And then there's some people who stab constantly.
But yeah, the other thing that I think is really important to note is that Luffy didn't hear a word of Nami's backstory. Luffy had no idea what went on. The only reason he went after Arlong is because Nami asked for help.
And because Arlong made her cry.
Yeah.
And also, no, he had already accepted Luffy or Nami as a member of his crew at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's really bad at taking no for an answer when it comes to the crewmate question.
Well, there's a moment we slightly skipped over in the Barati arc where, upon hearing that Sanji was a chef, Luffy asks Sanji to join his crew. Sanji refuses, and Luffy goes, "I refuse your refusal."
Yep. And from then on, Luffy just treats Sanji as a member of his crew long before Sanji formally joins.
I mean, he did that with Zoro as well, basically. He basically went up to a trap Zoro and went, "You're part of my crew now." What?
This dumbass is recruiting you. You have no chance to refuse.
Yeah.
And the best part is that even after they refuse or try to get away, he doesn't really hold it against them.
Yeah. He just worms himself into their hearts anyways and earns their loyalty.
Well, no, he basically goes, "Okay, you're coming with me anyway. I know you are. You're part of my crew now."
Like I said, Luffy has like a ridiculously high amount of charisma.
Yeah.
Why does a heartworm seem like a good comparison with Luffy?
Because it's true.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I do have to appreciate the fact that Luffy just like has that kind of magnetism to him where he
Yeah.
just like, you're part of my crew now, and sooner or later they just are like, yeah, I'm part of his crew now.
I mean, that aspect just gets better and better throughout the series.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that
But
later.
we
But
will get into that later. I mean, we should talk
uh,
about the fight with Arlong.
oh yeah, there are 4 different fights
We should
in.
also add there's more animal abuse.
Oh yeah, poor Momu,
Poor Mumu. that
Giant
giant sea
ass
cow.
sea cow is what would you even call that move?
That was the Gum
No, I
Gum.
know it was the Gum Gum Pinwheel, but like
No, not pinwheel. It's Ferris wheel. Not Ferris wheel. A windmill.
windmill, pinwheel, same difference, same energy.
Matter of scale.
That's only if you're not trying hard enough. But anyway, so yeah, he windmills that poor cow into oblivion, and then proceeds to eat the ever-loving crap out of Arlong. So he
Yeah.
does take a lot. There's a lot of bleeding
Mm.
in general.
Well, it should also be mentioned that after he did the windmill thing, he got lodged in the rock, and Arlong tossed him into the ocean, and that kind of fucked him over a bit. But fortunately, Nojiko and the mayor helped Luffy breathe by stretching his neck out of the water, which is very ingenious use of Luffy's rubber body.
I mean,
also,
this entire series is just an excuse for Oda to come up with different ways to use a rubber body.
and also, this is a very interesting kind of take on this. Is that the powers don't go like the changes to the body don't go away after being immersed in water, right? He loses his strength.
Mm.
His body is still made of rubber. How did
Yeah,
that
no,
happen?
yo ho ho, he took a bite of gum gum. But yeah, no. So the thing with devil fruits is that while they can't use their abilities while they're underwater, if the body has been changed in any way by the devil fruit, that stays.
Yeah.
Like
It's
Luffy's rubber body.
it's similar to Aizawa with mutant type quirks. Like you can't cancel out a mutation in that way.
Yeah, no, because it's part of their physiology at that point.
Yeah.
But regardless, there are also 3 other fights besides Luffy versus Arlong. There's Usopp versus Chu, which basically consists of Usopp running away for a good chunk of it before manning up, splashing him with booze, and setting him on fire before beating him up with Usopp
that's
hammer and Usopp rubber band.
Yeah, so like that's kind of brutal.
Oh yeah, no, Usopp is very pragmatic in a fight because he has to be, otherwise he'd get fucked over.
Yeah, he's like in terms of like physicality, he is absolutely the weakest link.
He is the weakest Straw Hat physically. Like, that is an absolute that Oda has stated. He will always be the weakest Straw Hat.
But he is just like, he makes up for it by having no moral compunctions whatsoever.
Oh no,
And also being incredibly ingenious.
Yeah, he does not give a shit about a fair fight. The other thing I want to mention is, he knows that he's the weakest of the crew, and he's quite cowardly as a result. And yet, when Luffy says, "Let's go," he's right there with Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro,
Oh yeah.
walking their asses
Even though his,
straight
like-
to Arlong Park.
That's a great scene, by the way.
Oh no, it is
It's
fantastic.
Power
The walk to
walk
Arlong Park is fucking amazing.
It's like very AAA film trailer energy.
Oh yeah. Next up, we'll talk about
Hey,
Sanji
Avengers
versus
did more of
Karubi.
this.
Oh, one thing with an Usopp joke though, one thing I noticed, just one of the little sight gags where I'm like, did I just see that? Kind of like with the stop choking yourself thing. Was Usopp when carrying Luffy, was his finger basically up Luffy's nose?
Yes.
Yes.
I believe this is correct.
Okay, I was just making sure I wasn't seeing things at that point. I was like, is he? It's like I was just looking for like 3 minutes. It's like that. Is he? Is his finger basically buried in Luffy's nose right now? I guess so. Okay.
Honestly, Oda puts in just a lot of tiny sight gags throughout the series.
Yeah, there's oh, by the way, Logstar, have you by chance noticed Panda Man yet? Who wants to explain Panda Man?
I haven't been looking
Logstar.
for Panda Man. I've been
Okay, so
trying to keep the plot together and keep all those lines together and just get.
Do you know? Are you aware of the existence of Panda Man?
I did see in one of the final pages, Panda Man was brought up. I did not investigate further at the time.
okay, so Panda Man is basically a background character that Oda draws into every single chapter of One Piece.
Not every
So it's been
chapter, but
almost
every
every
major arc.
Yeah, at least once every major arc. Sometimes he's more obvious than others. Like in Baratier, he's very much not obvious. Whereas in like other arcs, it's a lot easier to spot him. Usually he's in like crowd shots. But
Yeah.
basically, like it's basically a game of spot the Panda Man.
It's also just a kind of a testament to Oda's commitment to
Tail.
detail. Yes, like he is constantly trying to cram as much substance as he can into every single shot, which is really a very interesting contrast to the many, quite frankly, many authors who try and get away with as little as possible. Like
Yeah.
doing as little
Actually,
as possible.
the thing with East Blue is that for a good chunk of it, there's a lot of empty space in a lot of the panels, which changes a lot in later arcs, which are a lot more. I don't know if busy is the right word, but there's a lot more going on in
Dense,
in
I
individual
think.
panels. Dense is the right word. But we should probably get back into the fights. Sanji versus Karubi is the next one we should talk about.
In which is this is also our first introduction to Fishman Karate, which is in fact a major thing and plot.
Yeah,
point.
it comes up a lot later. But yeah, Sanji basically tries to free Luffy from the rock that he's stuck in underwater. Karubi, who is basically a rayfish man, dives in after him and starts beating the tar out of him before Sanji breathes into his gills to free himself and takes the fight up onto
it's
land.
just like horrifying to think about in some respects.
Horrifying, but it makes sense. It's a very good strategy to go with.
No, that's why it's a great strategy. But like, it's just. Can you imagine like that's the equivalent of someone literally ripping your like breathing into your exposed lungs almost.
Well,
Not
it's
quite that.
no, it's waterboarding you basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
It's a great way of putting
It's
it.
you know
To be fair,
sticking a
Karubi
bloody
was trying his damnedest to kill Sanji.
yeah.
Yeah, no, there, and that's another thing is that there's no compunctions about hey, let's take them down non-lethally. No, they are absolutely shooting to kill at basically every opportunity.
Yeah. But yeah, no. The fight goes to land, and Sanji kicks the shit out of Karubi very quickly.
And
Like,
meanwhile, we have Hachi versus Zoro in a fight of Santoryu versus Rokutoryu.
6 swords versus 3 swords.
Yep.
This is actually almost as funny as the Usopp fight, to be honest.
And me. Well, that's because Hachan is just fucking ridiculously dumb. Like previously in the arc, he gave Zoro a lift. I think was it to Arlong Park or away from Arlong Park?
Away from Arlong Park.
Without even realizing that Zoro was part of like an enemy pirate crew.
Yeah, no,
Now,
because Zoro had just said, "Yeah, I'm Arlong's best."
Here.
Sorry.
I mean,
I have a very important question for Logstar.
Yeah.
What is your impression of Hachi or Hachan?
Well, I mean, there's already the dumb and of course Zoro just straight up getting the octopus pot. It's like, octopus pod. I don't know if you say octopus in that one. It's like it's a okay. I don't know, but yeah. Let's just say the sixth sword. There was fun to have that. There's one thing where I would have actually extended out a fight thing. I would have matrixed the hell out of going through the six swords, just like slow motion that. Take like
That
2
would actually have
pages
been-
on that.
That would have been pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
happen. Still,
Yeah,
it's
I
an
want to see
overall
how
good.
that worked.
Oh, and keep in mind that Zoro is doing this entire fight while he is
Still suffering from his wounds.
bleeding from the poorly stitched up wounds that
Yeah, no,
Mihawk
they don't
gave
have a
him.
doctor, is the thing.
And it gets brought up at the end of the arc too that they should look at getting a doctor on the crew.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's gonna. Okay, I'm not gonna finish this sentence. You know what I was gonna say.
Hush you.
Yeah, hey, I'm wondering more if the musician thing is going to actually happen, or if it'll be a running joke forever. I'll find out though, right?
Yes, hush
We'll
fuzzy.
find out, actually. Yes. And also, there's one other thing, is that the reason I ask you about Hachi is, like, would you say Hachi is in any way like a complex or, in general, a character that
Likeable.
seems, likable, or in any way a character rather than just a one-off gag?
Definitely struck me as more gag at the time, you know. Is
He,
there
he definitely does come across as the most benevolent member of Armlong's crew. So
That is true. Yeah, he's the karate boy isn't bad.
But I mean, I think I think so far we've learned a lot about the power of dumb. So it's hard to say which is benevolence and which is just like.
You see, yes, that is
brain
actually
rot.
a very good point. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, it should also be mentioned that once Nojiko and the mayor finish pumping up the water from Luffy's lungs, Zoro
my.
Zoro manages to hold off Arlong just long enough for Sanji to break Luffy out of his rocky prison. And when Arlong actually manages to get Zoro on the ropes, he tears off the bandages and realizes, holy shit, this guy has been fighting me with a gaping chest wound.
I mean, he was damn
time.
near cut in half, basically.
Yeah, he's like almost cut in half along a diagonal. So
Yeah.
And Arlong's basically like, how the fuck is he still alive? This guy ain't human.
Which again, considering the racial
Yeah.
superiority themes, is a very interesting comment.
Oh, just came across my notes up here. What's the also with the Gum Gum fruit? The ocean takes away their will to live. I noticed the power, like no swimming. What was that other thing about?
Okay,
It's not so much takes away their will to live as it takes away their drive. They kind of
It basically takes away their energy. They can't move.
yeah, it makes.
Yeah, I'm wondering what's like. Why would it be like? I no longer want to. I'm wondering, like, okay, what's up with that? Still on what's up.
Basically just extreme exhaustion and fatigue.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that they consciously no longer want to live, but they do not have the energy to keep living.
Okay, so not like psych nuke sort of.
No. It's a physical thing.
Mm-hmm. No, it's definitely not a mental thing. But yes, the Arlong versus Luffy fight is very good.
Unlimited teeth works.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
God damn it.
that is you. And you say you're not an anime guy. You still have the jokes. You know the memes.
I know very few memes, but that just came up. But yeah, that just came to mind for some reason. Just those.
And those 3 words are very important words. But yeah, so yeah, Arlong can just regrow his teeth and uses his teeth as castanets.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just like you thought 3 Swords guy was ridiculous. It turns out he's one of the most grounded and down-to-earth fighters in the series.
Yeah.
Pure fighting style. My man's uses his teeth as castanets.
and then Luffy steals one of them and uses them to
Against him,
enhance.
yes, yeah.
I fucking love Luffy and his dumbassery.
But the axe kick at the end is just, it still gives me chills.
Yeah.
It is fucking satisfying as hell.
Like, it's very well shot. Well, you know what I mean by well shot. It's
Yeah.
very well done, well shot, and most of all, it's like, it's just so unbelievably
Satisfying.
satisfying, especially since it's not just an outright win. He takes the hit to make sure he
Yeah.
gets there by the
Yeah.
end.
But yeah, it's also very satisfying given that before this, Luffy went on this whole speech about what he can't do and why he needs a crew, and Arlong basically asks, just what can you do then? And Luffy goes, I can beat you. And
Like,
One hell of a boast, and it
Yeah.
works great.
it's just like,
and again, I didn't reread this in preparation, but I think this is sort of the first real time that we get a glimpse at properly serious Luffy.
yes.
Oh,
this
yeah,
is,
no.
in fact, one of the first. This is the first time when we see that Luffy isn't just an idiot. He is very much someone who can throw down and like give his all when it really comes down to it.
Yeah, the arc ends with Arlong defeated, and also the Crooked Marines get the shit beat out of them because they deserve it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a little dance party at the end, and they go on their merry way after Nami steals all the villagers' wallets for shits and gigs.
Yeah.
But they love her anyway.
Oh yeah.
It helps that she left all of her treasure behind with them.
Yeah.
Also, I do want to say something real quick about the beginning of the arc, because as Luffy and Sanji are sailing over to Tokoyashi Village, we are actually told about the Seven Warlords, the fact that Mihawk is one of them, and the name of a second one, Arlong's former captain Jimbei, who will become important much later.
Who will?
But there's also another thing that's mentioned in this exchange that I want you, Logstar, to put a pin in. It's not going to be relevant for a long while, but
there's a lot of things you're gonna have to put pins in.
Again, can we get to these foreshadowings when get to these Chekhov's guns when they are fired, not when they are first mentioned.
Fine. Anyways, let's talk about Buggy.
Let's talk about Buggy. So, so as I said, there was something that Oda does is he has cover story arcs. So the covers of the manga chapters will tell a story based on, obviously the actual cover and then a caption underneath. And I believe this is the first one.
It is indeed the first one. Usually they follow either defeated villains or side characters.
Yeah. And this is very much focusing on Buggy and Buggy's crew trying to find Buggy.
Sometimes these are even adapted to the anime as filler arcs or one-shot.
Only the first two were. Only the first two. Nothing afterwards got adapted.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It is, because they're actually kind of important.
But yeah, basically Buggy's crew eventually manages to find the head and feet of Buggy. However, also there...
Oh, and this mysterious lady joins up with Buggy's crew in search of Luffy.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder.
Yes, I wonder.
Anyway, that brings us to Logtown.
I do hate that the Viz translation changed it to Roguetown because it just eliminates the meaning from the actual name of the town.
Yeah.
Logetown, as in prologue and epilogue.
Yeah, that's the. It's not. Logstar, did you catch that or no?
I did. I was wondering you're talking about Logtown, but no. Sometimes I do think about. I wonder how they translated it, but that wasn't one of them. I just thought that was a straightforward naming convention thing.
Yeah, this is actually the shortest arc so far. It's only a few chapters.
Yeah.
But it basically just is Luffy and Co. stop over at Logtown, which is the place where Gold Roger was both born and where he was executed. And
well,
they go.
there's several different adventures. Let's go up through the crew. So this is one that was actually cut from the manga, but it is actually canon. It was in the anime as
got his goggles.
yeah, how Usopp got his goggles. Went into had a sniping contest with the Marine's best sniper, where Usopp had to
Daddy
win.
Masterson.
Yeah, Usopp had to win or be executed on the spot. He has to hit a weather vane. Usopp shoots, the weather vane doesn't move, and then Daddy Masterson goes, I can't shoot him, he shot it straight through the middle. Like, straight through the gap.
Oh my god.
Just like...
Which is, again, a sign of, hey, Usopp is actually really competent at what he does.
And that's the thing, is that this was kind of emphasized in the last arc, but it's even clearer is that the reason that there's a pirate crew is because none of them are good at everything. Right? They all have their strengths.
They're all
and
specialists.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's not treated as a bad thing. That is treated as an extremely good thing. That's treated as one of the most important things, is that they are able to complement each other like that.
Exactly, yeah. But because Usopp won the contest, not only did he, keep his life, he also won a new set of goggles.
Yep.
Then
They better be good goggles.
Yeah.
They carry him through most of the first half of the series, so they're pretty good goggles.
Yeah.
Did
Nami and Sanji, meanwhile, have mostly inconsequential adventures in Logtown.
Yeah.
I think Nami just goes clothes shopping and Sanji goes shopping for cooking ingredients.
Yeah. So then we get to Zoro. Zoro needs new swords because two of his
shattered two of them.
Yeah, Mihawk shattered two of them.
To be fair, he didn't shatter the important one.
No, he didn't.
True.
It's like we now are introduced to the concept of named swords,
Well,
which is very much a
Well, this is where we get the different sword ranks, isn't it?
Yes.
Which I do not know off the top of my head.
They also have a cursed one.
Hold on. It's Owazamono, which is fine grade. Saijo Owazamono, great grade.
Yeah.
And what's the last one?
Supreme grade, which is the
Yes.
which there's
only
12
12. And Mihawk's sword is one of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zoro's special sword is actually one of the 12 great grade swords, which there are 21.
That'd be 21.
21.
One down from the top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
great grade, not supreme grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so Zoro goes sword shopping and is basically being dicked around with by the shopkeeper until he comes across a particular sword that is apparently cursed, and all who have wielded it have met horrible deaths. Zoro basically goes, fuck your curse.
Real quick, we do get introduced to a sword lady who introduces us to the concept of sword grades and named swords.
Tashigi.
And also the beginning of Zoro's harem.
Let's not get into that.
But yeah,
Oh, no.
so Zoro takes this cursed blade, goes, fuck this curse, chucks it up in the air, holds out his arm, and seeing if it'll come down, blade first and cut off his arm, and it doesn't. And Zoro goes, "I'll be taking
Not
that."
only does it not do that, it's like
It actually spins so that the flat of its blade actually touches his arm,
Yeah,
and it lands in the floor blade
yeah.
first.
The shopkeeper basically goes, "Okay," and gives him the cursed sword and the other best sword that he has for free.
which is a family heirloom, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, dude has
Hey,
fucking
I
balls
think
of
you're
steel.
a great swordist, so have this sword.
Yeah.
Also, like, this is like the beginning of a running theme of Zoro being just like having an odd relationship with luck and curses.
Mm.
Does have a very interesting relationship with Lady Luck.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
I'll
yeah.
admit, in my notes I even had, is he going to end up curse repelling or something? So I'm like, okay, curse
Kind of,
sword.
yes.
Then there's the other stuff. Where is this
Well,
going?
the next podcast we will talk about how the sword potentially affects him.
Yes.
But-
Let's also mention real quick the fact that it's the sword, the cursed sword, is rendered as a Sandai Kitetsu 3 in the Viz translation, but it's also pronounced Sandai Kitetsu.
Hmm.
So if you hear us Sandai
There's
Kitetsu,
a story
please
behind
don't get confused.
Kitetsus, and it's explained in supplementary material around this time, so I can go into that. It's not really a spoiler.
Mhm.
So it was basically, there was a famous blacksmith named Kitetsu, which I believe is just translates to demon iron.
Yeah,
Nice.
makes sense based on the limited Japanese that I know.
Yeah, no. But so this demon iron guy seems to be a pretty good sword maker in general, and he ended up making a very, very good sword, which was the first sword he ever made, and it's one of the supreme grade swords.
The
Then he
Shodai
made another
Kitetsu.
Shodai Kitetsu. Then he made another sword, which was slightly worse, but still one of the great grades. And then he made a third sword, which
Kitetsu.
was this one. And all of them are cursed, right?
Think of
all
him
of the
as
swords.
One Piece's equivalent to Muramasa.
Yes.
Going from the One Piece wiki, Kitetsu means demon splitter.
Ah,
Look, it has demon in the name.
It definitely has demon in it.
yeah.
The other thing to note is that it was actually the Nidai Kitetsu and the Sandai Kitetsu were crafted by different people than the first, the Shodai Kitetsu.
Yeah, I think it was made by people in the same family line.
Same swords crafting school, certainly, yeah. Same
Makes
school of
sense.
swordsmiths.
A very fine history of swordistry.
Mm-hmm. But then we get to Luffy's shopping trip.
Which isn't really a shopping trip as so much as sightseeing. And he decides to go see the platform on which Roger was executed. And
Dark
it actually has
tourism.
one.
Well, no,
Oh, yeah.
doesn't he first come across Smoker?
No, that's in the anime.
Ah,
In the manga, he doesn't
We
meet Smoker
do get
until
an
after.
introduction to Smoker, though.
we do get, which is a
Smoker has
really cool
a
introduction.
Really good,
Yeah,
really good introduction.
Yeah, so once again we're shown we're shown the duality of the Marines.
yes,
So he's introduced as this really tough, stern Marine dude.
Who smokes
And,
2 cigars at a time.
yeah.
And a little girl runs into him with ice cream and spills it all over his pants. And you get this ominous look from him before he crouches down and hands her money so she can buy more ice cream.
Yeah,
Yeah, my pants ate your
Not
ice
just
cream.
more ice cream, a better
Yeah.
ice cream.
yeah.
My pants eat your ice cream.
Yeah,
Here,
that
go buy
is
more.
just, like,
It's such a great moment to establish a character.
very much
Yeah.
established as someone who represents the good that authority can be, right? As opposed to the dirty cops earlier
Yeah.
and Morgan, who are the bad that authority can be.
Yeah, Smoker definitely represents the good within the Marines that is unfortunately heavily diluted by all the corruption and fanaticism.
Yeah.
Basically, the idea that this is not a monolithic organization, and there's various shades of gray here to deal with here.
I mean, the shades of grey in all of the organizations, but yes.
There was a note, just for the thing I picked up, because I know you'll know if this means anything. I noticed 2 cigars, and I noticed plume fruit, and I'm like, I sense there is something connecting these. So just to give you the thing, we'll see if I'm right.
Oh,
You already know if I'm right.
yeah. Something we forgot. Luffy's bounty.
Oh yeah, he gets a bounty for the first time.
Yeah,
And it's a good one.
Yeah, it is the highest in the East Blue at the time.
30 million, I believe.
30 mil.
30 million.
Starts at 30 mil.
But the other interesting point is that we see Shanks for the first time since the prologue, I believe.
Yeah, and it's actually we see him because Mihawk goes to visit him.
Yeah. So
It turns
Mihawk
out
and
Luffy's
Shanks
new
know
bounty.
each other.
They banging. Look, don't tell me you don't see it.
I mean, Shanks has very strong bisexual energy, so I could see it.
Yeah. But it's a funny scene just because Shanks is like drinking party for Luffy's success. Mihawk, join in. No, join in.
And then Mihawk is just like,
Aren't you
"Fine, man,"
hungover
and
from
just
your last
shoves him.
party?
And Mihawk just nonchalantly, with no expression on his face, just chugs a mug of beer.
Yeah.
Just absolutely chugs it.
I love how Mihawk and Shanks just interact with each other. It's great.
It's very clear. Mihawk is absolutely a tsundere for Shanks.
Oh yeah. We'll get more into their relationship later. But I just remembered that and wanted to make mention of that. So
it's one of the best moments in the series.
Yeah.
Also, considering the fact that Mihawk is more or less one of the expressions of the power ceiling of the series, and he treats Shanks as an equal, if not even with some degree of respect and deference.
yeah.
That should really give you an idea of like, and I do love that Shanks is like, oh my god, that's my son, actual human son.
Oh yeah, basically.
It's just like, that's my boy.
Yeah.
Look at him. Just such a proud
He's so
dad.
proud of Luffy.
Anyway,
He's so proud of Luffy.
back to Logtown and Luffy's adventure. Luffy is confronted by Buggy and the mysterious woman who'd have thunk it, turns out to be Alvida.
And this
Yeah,
is where
she's
we really...
been getting a bit of a spa treatment, so she slimmed down quite a bit.
So here's the thing where we start getting into some of the utter ludicrousness of how some of the powers work.
Yeah.
She has the slip fruit. What does that mean? It means she can she basically can like reduce friction and make things slippery. How is it that she ends up working? She uses it to somehow slip the fat off of her body and turn it off of every part of her body except her hips and breasts to
Get that nice hourglass figure going.
figure.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Wait, did it say that in there and I just missed it?
yes, you did.
The fat slipping off is never explicitly stated because
But no, he does say it in the SBS. Oda says it in his volume-based.
Okay, because I didn't check that. Because I was like, okay, that's actually dumber than just a crash diet. Okay, that is actually dumber than a crash diet.
Yeah, no, it is.
It absolutely is.
well, the thing with the fruit is that it basically removes all blemishes from her, which I guess also means all the fats.
Even
Because
then,
it
it's
also
just like,
removes all her freckles.
It's still dumb.
I mean,
so dumb.
It does
But
not.
that's kind of
One
Oda's
Piece
thing.
does not really run on logic.
No, it does
Yeah,
not.
no, One Piece runs on pure, unadulterated nonsense.
Yeah.
Logic does not come into the equation.
Yeah, Albinos is one of the more interesting devil fruits introduced so far. Though Smokers is also very interesting because it's different from all the other ones we've
Yeah,
seen.
and this is where we get into devil fruit classifications.
We have only seen 2 of the classifications so far. The Paramecia ones, which are most of the devil fruits, and Smoker is the first of the Logia class, which are basically elemental powers plus shape shifting into that element. Which, is much more broken than most of the other devil fruits.
Yeah. Basically, Luffy tries to fight him and can't hit him.
Yeah, because he just, like, you can't hit smoke. You can't beat what you can't hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
And yes,
Logia are very
was this
rare
what
with
you were talking about with the regards to the plume thing? Or
Yeah,
like-
I was like, okay, the fruit and the cigars have to be.
And, well, you were right. He smokes because apparently it's good for him. Unlike everyone else in the world, smoking is good for him because he's literally made of smoke.
Yep.
Yeah, he ain't getting lung cancer from that.
Yeah.
Then why only 2? Come on, he's got more fruit.
Does
He
he
does,
get?
I mean,
in fact, later in the series, carry a bandolier full of cigars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You know.
Right.
so going back to Luffy, he is captured by Buggy and Alvida, and on the platform where Gold Roger was executed, Buggy goes to execute him, and then a bolt of lightning strikes.
Oh, you forgot the best part. Right before the bolt of lightning strikes, and as he's about to be executed, Luffy smiles.
Sorry, I'm a
Yes.
goner.
Doesn't he also say that he's going to be king of the pirates?
Yeah, he says that right before that.
Yeah. Which, you know,
And,
shocks everyone.
This whole sequence of events makes Smoker go, "Oh, I have to capture him before he gets out of control."
Yeah.
No, he's like, the smoker was there for Roger's execution, and he, like, sees the specter of,
Spectre of Roger and goes, I have to stop him now.
Yeah, because it's just like, he is definitely... Smoker is the first person to become convinced that, oh my god, if I don't stop him, he is absolutely gonna make good on his promise and become the next king of the pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Smoker! So, ironically enough, Smoker is the first person to really believe in Luffy.
Well, outside of his crew.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and everyone else who knows him well.
Yeah.
Smoker is the first stranger who meets Luffy and is immediately like, oh no.
yeah,
Right? Because that's kind of...
yeah, that total. It's like, wow, huh? That self-preservation level is a lot lower than I'd expected from previous chapters.
Yeah.
I mean, he does try to get out of it, but eventually
he's
he's just like,
but the point
he
is that
accepts
even,
that he can't.
and he is, even when he's resigned to death, he is not upset about it because in his mind, no regrets because life well lived,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Right? He accepts that he's basically the ultimate like almost a positive fatalist, right? He accepts that he can die at any time, but that just to him that just means life is more precious. Like the idea of like nihilists who are like, I could die at any time, but that just or like life has no meaning, which makes the meaning we give it more precious.
Yeah,
So that's more
his
senseless
philosophy
stuff.
is basically, you know, life is short, so I might as well, you know, live the life I want.
Yeah.
You know, be as free as possible, which is, you know, what he thinks being king of the pirates will bring him.
Yep. So that I think that gets brought up later.
Hmm.
Anyways, Buggy gets struck by lightning, and it doesn't affect Luffy because he's made of rubber, which is hilarious.
How did that happen though?
I'm not responding to it this time, Fuzzy.
I was waiting for that.
Oh, I thought you meant the bolt of lightning, and I was going to answer that.
Oh yeah, there's an ambiguity whether or not
Yes,
the lightning
we're
bolt
gonna
was.
get to that later, but much
No,
later.
what-
In fact, We're gonna get to that like 600 chapters later.
Real quick, we do need to say it because there is a character who shows up in chapter 100. Which did you read, Logstar?
Yes, I did. I noticed Dragon, but also I was still back in the Tashigi bit, which we haven't talked about yet.
We'll get to that,
yeah.
but
We need to talk about
real
Tashigi.
quick, I do need to say, there is the question that is brought up that was the bolts of lightning, divine intervention, dragons doing, or just a coincidence? And that has not been.
Given Luffy's luck, it could be.
It could be, yeah. It could just be coincidence.
We don't know, and that's the thing. Like, because we're given it's entirely plausible that dragon control the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we'll get to that in a bit, but
again, something that I.
Tashigi, yeah.
Well, just before that, does Smoker use his weapon in the fight with Luffy?
Yes.
No, he doesn't.
No, he uses it to hold him down at the very end.
Do we get the explanation for it yet, or is that later?
Yes.
No, he doesn't. I don't remember him using it in the manga. I just read it, and he didn't use it.
Oh, well,
Dragon
in the anime,
stopped
he
him
does
from
use it
using
and explains what up with it.
Yeah, no, that doesn't happen in the manga.
I feel like we're safe to say it, because it's going to be explained, like, in a few chapters anyway.
No, it doesn't get explained until Alabasta.
Like, why do they explain it so much earlier in the anime?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Explain it.
Anyway.
Okay, anyway, Tashigi.
Yes, Tashigi.
Yeah, Tashigi.
Whatever. Yeah.
We're
However you
not
want to say
Japanese.
it.
We can pronounce it wrong. But basically, she looks like Zoro's dead girlfriend.
Yep.
Zoro's dead, not girlfriend. Yes.
Zoro's dead girlfriend, and also there's a lot of sexual tension there. If you deny it,
Yeah.
No, there
there's
is. There's tension.
Like they straight up start bickering after Zoro beats her in a fight because they're both idiots. But
It's fight sexual tension, but it's still sexual tension.
Oh, yeah, and you've also got the whole bad boy thing, more Tashigi on the more law side.
Marine, yeah.
And you've got the pirate Zolo,
Oh my god!
I had to do it somehow. My only last chance.
Okay, yes, you got.
Damn.
No, you know what? I'll give you that one. You get one.
That was well timed. That was well
It was
timed.
very well timed. I'll give you that. It was like maximum rage factor.
I was not expecting it, and that made it hurt all the more.
That made it better. It's like I was on guard for it the whole time, but you made me lower my guard. God damn it.
But yeah, there's tension there.
Yeah.
You get a lot of. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
With regards to Zoro.
The other thing I want to mention is I'm on the Logtown Arc One Piece wiki page, and it has a section for 4Kids edits, and I have to talk about what they did to Smoker.
Oh yeah, Chaser.
They changed his name to Chaser. Any reference to his smoking is removed. The 2 cigars are removed.
Smoke.
And the cigars on his coat are removed. So and it's just so dumb.
What's funny is that this isn't even the most ridiculous thing they did.
Oh, they turned Sanji's cigarette
Hammer.
Sanji's cigarette into a fucking lollipop.
No, we also got to talk about the fact that Helmeppo held Kobe hostage with a spring hammer thingy.
Yeah.
Oh, and Rice Balls became piece.
Yeah.
Yep.
At least they're not. I mean.
At least they're not jelly donuts.
Yeah. I was just you beat me to it, but
Yeah.
So 4Kids, hate them. Glad they went bankrupt.
Yep. They deserved
That was
it.
a great
Yeah.
day for the world, like society,
Yeah. No.
arts, and culture in general.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
As we said, it cannot be
The one
understated how
positive
much damage that 4Kids did to One Piece's reputation in the West.
I will say that there is one positive contribution the 4Kids have made. The pirate rap.
The One Piece rap.
Is not enough to make up for the.
It's not enough to make up for everything, but it's at least something.
It's better than nothing, and it is still hilarious.
I hate that I like it.
Go
I
and
hate that I like
after we finish, go and watch it on YouTube because it's fucking hilarious.
I think they got up. Yeah, we can do that later. But yeah, the arc ends with after Dragon intervenes to prevent Smoker from capturing Luffy, and
Not explained at all why he would do that.
we don't learn a bit much about Dragon for a long time.
Yeah.
We do learn. Do we learn what he of his title?
No,
No.
we
I
only
mean,
learn his name.
what he does.
Nope, only Dragon. He's only called Dragon. But yeah, after that, Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hat crew head forth to the Grand Line, and that is where East Blue ends.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was surprised. One of the reasons I didn't do 100, one of the reasons I stopped on 99, because I saw like all the stuff going on. It's like, wait, 100? They're not just gonna like straight up leave in the next chapter. It's gonna be like 7 more. Nope, straight up left.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oda actually
no.
did rush the pacing a little bit to get them to go to the Grand Line at chapter 100.
I will say, one thing I will always give Oda credit for is he never, even when it's not necessarily paced the best, he's never afraid to just end things immediately, right?
Yeah.
He is always one for making sure things end when they're supposed to end and don't, and like, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get to something that's more debatable a little bit down the road, but for the most part, he's very good with ending things where they should end. You know exactly what arc I'm talking about. You don't need
We all
to.
know. Well, yeah, but we'll get to
Logstar
that.
doesn't.
Yes.
But,
So, overall, I think we don't need to really speak about how much we love One Piece. That's just redundant at this point. But I think
evident.
Logstar, I'm very interested to know, like, what is your final overall impression on it now that you kind of know where it's going and how it starts and where it's going.
Well, I mean, I think I'm gonna like it a lot better when when it if it does that little shift more outside of the whole fewer fight things, more like the whole character in the world, because that's the juicy stuff if you ask me. If it's going more in that direction, yeah, I'm gonna keep going. Sure, let's have fun with this.
Yeah, and I think that's really to One Piece's credit, they do that very well. Is that Oda is excellent at balancing. Like you have to understand, at this point in the series, Oda is still learning, right? This is not his first manga series, is it?
It was his first of this scale.
This is the first serialization. He's done one shots before this.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And
But,
he was what, 23 when he started?
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe younger actually.
No, I feel like he was 23 because I feel like I remember seeing something about him being 23 and me thinking, and I'm 23. Yay.
What have I?
I think he started out as an assistant on Rurouni Kenshin before publishing his own manga.
We will not get into that. We've already discussed that sort of thing with the manga that started and ended podcast.
Yeah. Let's not go into detail about that. But regardless, One Piece East Blue Saga is a good start to One Piece, but it gets a whole lot better from here. But yeah, that should do it.
Yeah, so thank you all for joining us on what is the first of what I hope to be many One Piece podcasts. We are actually hoping to see if we can wrangle some guest stars for this. So keep I was gonna say keep us posted, but it's the opposite of that.
Yes, we will keep you posted.
Keep you posted.
We'll keep you posted. But overall, I think this is a good start. I think we are slowly but surely inducting Logstar as a new member of the Cult of One Piece. And thank you, and have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, please tune in next week when we will be covering something that's relevant to this particular story, flashbacks.
Oh, yes.
And we are planning to play some Among Us at what is it, 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow?
Yeah, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific.
We have plans, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
We have
Yes.
enough people, so it's just about finding somebody with a computer and internet capable to stream it. Because
It'll be me. If I'm there, it'll be me. Otherwise, it'll probably be Mel.
it won't
Yeah.
be me. I'm not confident in my computer right now.
Okay. Well,
It
it'll
might
be
be
me.
me. It
Okay.
might be. If
Okay.
it's not Fuzzy, it'll be me.
Oh yes, thank you everyone for joining us. Have a good night. Bye bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Yep.